Hello, everybody. It's me.
Hi.
Jello's sick, Bo's tired, and my butt hurts. Welcome to One Piece Book Club chapters 218 through 321. We're talking about Skypiea and a
Yay.
little bit of Water 7.
Sorry I got sick, you guys. I know a couple hundred chapters ago I got really sick because I was walking around in a jungle with no shirt on and I got bit by a bug. So I thought I'd spend another 100 chapters walking around in a jungle with no shirt.
It's a very, very, very good thing. But yeah, I think like doing what we always do and starting off with just general sentiments of it. I feel okay. Uh, it's worse than Baroque works, but I feel like the highs of Skypiea are higher than East Blue, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Uh,
I see that.
because like obviously East Blue has the downside of having to build the foundation for everything else to be built on, right? With like collecting party members and all this other stuff, so all the other arcs benefit from those things. But like obviously Skypiea was like kind of we all agree kind of like boring, bad.
So I'm
Mhm.
I'm gonna say some words, and I think they might be controversial. I think Skypiea is the worst arc in One Piece up to this point by a pretty significant margin. And I don't mean that like all of it was like horrible or anything, though a lot of it was. Uh I mean, if you hand it to me as a professional writer, if you handed me the notes for like
Mhm.
Baratier and Foxy, I don't want to call it its real name, the Foxy arc, I
Yeah.
could be like, hey, there's some really obvious problems. I can fix these very quickly. If you handed me Skypiea, I would go, oh no, you didn't even kind of finish your homework. Structurally and thematically and pacing wise, this is a mess.
Mhm.
And you're lucky you came up with a fun villain, because if you didn't have that, this would kind
Oh
of
yeah.
suck balls.
Like the villain of Skypiea is the reason I say it has higher highs than uh East Blue, and he's the only reason.
Yeah.
Like the ending, like 10% of Skypiea, due to him just showing up and being like so fun, to me is like why I'm like, okay, like this arc isn't like completely irredeemable, right?
I would I would say Enel is really good from the first time he shows up fucking people up in the
Mm-hmm.
survival game that should be completely fucking cut. Get rid of the whole thing. Um and then I think he's really good, but then there's like five after the Nolan flashback, like
Yeah.
it should just be over. Like it just
Mm-hmm.
you know what's gonna happen, and there's like a couple extra chapters, and even then I was like, all right, Enel, I like you, but let's get the hell out of here,
Yeah.
buddy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But he wanted to go to McDonald's first.
Oh wait.
Yeah,
Fuck.
no,
We will get into this in a bit.
so, but I genuinely, I have so much to say about Skypiea that I completely forgot.
Yeah.
I love Jaya so much.
Yeah.
That
Jai-
is really
Jaya has like a good way of just like showing by the way, I forgot I was playing music and streaming you guys. But Jaya has such a good like way to show how far like the gang has come, right? The setup of it of just like no one knowing the updated bounties because like Blackbeard's fucking goon shot the seagull messengers, right?
Mhm.
Did you guys catch that like detail?
Oh my god, no, I
Yeah.
honestly didn't
what was
until you
this?
mentioned. Because
So-
at the start, the way they
Mhm.
introduce Van Augur, the Blackbeard
Yeah.
sniper, is Luffy's
yeah.
watching the seagulls and they shoot it down. And I didn't catch that if those were the male seagulls. That's really clever. No, I didn't notice that.
They were probably carrying the updated bounty of Luffy, and so that's why Jaya probably didn't know he was as big of a deal as he was, right?
That's
That makes
so
sense,
funny.
yeah.
It's a really good use of the setting and the fact that this isn't the information age, right? And and so yeah, it's really fun. Bellamy is like his design. He just looks like a big old school bully, right?
He
Like-
does, yeah.
He's got like I'd imagine him with like a tiny bit of like a baby face, right?
Yeah.
Dude, not to be rude, Jello, but I think you could cosplay Bellamy very well.
No, I think if I shaved, I think you're
Yeah.
probably right.
Yeah, right? And his whole crew is just like, look how cool we are with our designer-looking clothes, and this guy's name is the Knife.
I like the bit
Big
where
knife.
Mhm.
there's a lot to talk about with Jaya,
Yeah.
but I love, there's nothing better. Jaya is formally the Blackbeard thematic setup, and we talked about this a little, but I'm still going through and reading this as like, what's the big thing Luffy's fighting against thematically in each of these arcs, and Jaya's the dream one. And I love that Blackbeard, the series' obvious main antagonist, meets Luffy and is like, bro, we're so similar. I love people's dreams. I fucking love being a pirate. But Luffy's 10 out of 10 vibe check meter just looks at him and he's like, whoa, this guy, I don't like this guy at all.
Yeah, it's like the setup for Blackbeard's crew, I feel like, is just so nice because it's just like, obviously you just see them singularly. Like there's just a panel where you see the wrestling guy just doing wrestling stuff and you're like, who cares about that? And then like the doctor guy rolling up on Luffy and it's just like, here's my bomb food or whatever the fuck. I can't fully remember, but it's just like,
I think he did a great job.
Take an apple.
Yeah,
he did a great job, like making them just disparate enough that like even I knew who they were. This is like my fourth time reading Jaya or watching it.
Yeah.
And skimming through it, and like by the end of the arc, at the end it's like we're all Blackbeard's crew and we're gonna catch and kill Monkey D. Luffy so Blackbeard can be a new warlord. I legitimately forgot that happened and was like, oh yeah, and like if I were a new reader being like, oh, that's who these guys were, and that's why they're also like, that's why they've all got those JoJo like doom letters around them.
Yeah, it's really cool. Just like that whole setup for Blackbeard with that like the panel with the giant negative space, right? Like the double spread is just like, man, that's like the good shit that, you know, they're building off of, right? And like Nolan's ancestor, like descendant guy, he's pretty cool. Like the monkeys are like, they're monkeys.
I thought he started out a little weird. Like his personal introduction to the Straw Hats, where he's like antagonistic. I didn't really understand the point of that, and I thought it felt weird.
Yeah.
But overall, I liked those guys, and I'm always here for a small arc that's just normal guy has a dream, and then some bully walks up and is like, your dream is dog water, and Luffy's like, I'm gonna turn your face into mist.
Yeah, like I like, my favorite kind of bit in One Piece is that people just acknowledge Luffy as a monkey for some reason, and then it's just like Luffy's talking to the two monkey guys and it's like they're getting along good, and Sanji's like, yeah, they're all monkeys, dude. Like,
I mean, his name is Monkey.
Yeah, his name is Monkey, but he has no monkey traits. I'm just like, I mean, his name is Monkey, so he must be a monkey, right?
Do you think that's in the Japanese, or the translator was just like, oh my god, a gold mine?
I don't know.
I assume it's in the Japanese.
I think
too.
yeah, because that's his, like, Oda knows his name is Monkey. That's like,
yeah, I think entirely all of that with like monkey symbolism is very intentional.
Yeah, and it, the way it sets up like Skypiea is really, really cool, because like honestly, I was a little brain dead. I didn't realize that Skypiea was the missing part of like Jaya, right? Until like it was like I
mean, you're not supposed to.
Yeah, I know, but like it feels so obvious now, right? Like, but like it's like, oh, it's sunk in the ocean and then it's gone, and then you go up in the sky and it's like, wow. Shit.
Yeah, I like the idea of like honestly, the concept of splunking on the Grand Line is really interesting and scary. So it's kind of surprising you don't really see more of it. But this is kind of the only time it ever gets brought up, so that's cool.
Yeah.
And the idea, it's like your treasure that you're looking for isn't in the ocean, it's in the sky, is like very fun. I mentioned this, I think, to Aloha at the start, where I was like, just the panel where Nami's like, oh no, the log pose is broken. It's pointing up, and Nami's like, oh god, no, we got hooked onto a sky island. It's like, Oda's so good at getting you excited for the concepts right away.
Yeah. It's like there's a reason that it's a dome and not just a normal compass, right? Like, it's really cool. Someone in chat says, Dragon Rage Lee says, underrated bit. when they go searching for the South Bird, I love that bit where Usopp picks up the spiders and he's the only one not scared of them. Yeah.
I mentioned that to Bo in
Mhm.
reading. I was like, I actually do have that screen capped as well,
Yeah.
because I was like, the
Mhm.
idea of any situation where Sanji would be scared of something that Usopp isn't is so illegal in modern One Piece that, like,
Mhm.
it was just wonderful to see. I loved
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
I was remembering that wrong too. I remembered that bit so clearly, and I thought for sure it was back in the
Little
giant
Garden?
arc. Yeah, I thought it was
Mhm.
in Little Garden.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, here it is.
Yeah, fucking it's such a nice little thing. Let me test out this new
Like,
tech.
yeah, I love this early stage of One Piece where Usopp and Nami like bring so many skills to the crew, and like Robin is really good at information gathering. I don't know, it's nice to see this series back when characters were allowed to actually be pirates and all be part of a crew before it turned into just
Yeah.
like shonen on steroids.
Yeah.
We're heroes.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. Like just all the stuff of I feel like one way they could have made Skypiea better, right? And build off of Jaya more is if like Bellamy and his crew ended up in Skypiea and took part of that survival game. Right?
Oh, maybe.
Because
That-
it's just
that
like
could be
because then
interesting.
obviously the survival game is kind of ass, but I feel like it would be better if there were characters there that you actually knew about instead of like 50
No one?
random guys. Yeah, basically no
That's
one.
definitely true.
Yeah.
Man, you're gonna love the entire second half of One Piece if you don't like large numbers of randos you have no emotional connection to fighting.
I mean,
But
yeah.
anyway, Marineford's the best arc, you guys. It's so good. But
Yeah.
It's okay. You can find a middle ground and have every character you've ever met before show up in every movie after 2020, fucking 2015 or so.
Yeah.
Bo was telling me about one movie where apparently, like, is it Red, where Shanks' crew shows up and
Yes.
Usopp's dad and
Yes.
Usopp work together and
Yeah.
don't talk to each other at all?
It sucks.
Yeah. No, like I think that's pretty much all of Jaya. Really, there's not really a whole lot to talk about Jaya, but it's still
There's
like, just
the
a pleasant
scene-
experience.
There's the scene where you cut to the Warlords of the Sea meeting,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and until you really got to get into Dofi's head, Doflamingo in Dressrosa, Doflamingo was one of my favorite characters for such a long time. I love his
Yeah.
powers. I love his design. I
From
love how he
start.
moves.
He moves amazing. I love all of the Doflamingo crew's like sense of fashion. It's very connected at this point, and it's a great like representation of Oda's sense of style too. It's fun.
In WWE, Brennan on TV wears the Doflamingo glasses for his character. Yeah, it's fucking great. There is also one thing about Jaya. It's really refreshing to see a fight that Luffy ends with one punch.
Yeah,
You know,
It's-
it didn't need
it's
to be
so
this
satisfying.
long. It didn't need to be this long drawn out thing. It's like, no, I'm just better than you. You suck shit. One punch over, and it was just like so satisfying instead of like a long drawn out. Like he could have easily extended it by like One Piece by like 5 chapters there, but he decided not to. I'm like, thank God.
Yeah, and just the moment of being like Starkeys or whatever his name is, being like, "Hey, you're just joking, man, right? Get up! Where the fuck you going, Straw Hat?" And him just going, "The sky." Like he doesn't give a fuck about these
Yeah.
guys. It's so nice. And also, I want to express something that I think Oda is quite bad at, and I kind of touched on it on Drum. I wish, and like this actually extends to a lot of shonen fan base, but especially One Piece people.
Yeah.
I wish they understood fights weren't the only kind of satisfying conflict you can see.
Yeah.
Because, like, even, like, I would still consider Luffy and Bellamy's fight a fight. And it's a
Yeah.
good fight, because, like, Bellamy's power is fun, and it's just like Luffy's, where it works great in the medium it's in.
Yeah.
And then he just decks him, and you're like, whoa, Luffy's so cool and strong, and it also doesn't waste your time. That's perfect. But do you remember how in Drum, when we were talking about it, I was like, I don't think Luffy should have even fought Wapol, because who cares? And Luffy already had his final boss, and that was saving his crew by climbing a sheer wall of ice that was like 5 miles tall. Like, and that was enough.
And he had to go through a whole thing where he couldn't fight, because it would have hurt Nami.
And that was really
interesting.
Good. And like, I bring that up because there was a moment in this arc where I was like, Zoro had one of those, where I was like, this should have been Zoro's fight, and instead Zoro fights Lysander, who I hate and wish was dead, and it's like, here's another sword fight, which was shitty and boring, and then it's like, we have to cut down the beanstalk, and it's like, damn, you know what would have made an amazing, cool boss fight equivalent moment for Zoro is literally just cutting down this beanstalk. Yeah. Even if he did it with like Wiper's help, that would be fine, but like that would have been like the Zoro moment. Like, not everyone needs a fight, which is something Oda understands less and less as the series goes on.
That would have been better for Wiper too.
Yeah. Yes, it would. Yeah, imagine him working with them to stop Enel. Wouldn't that be crazy? All right, we'll get to him.
Yeah, the biggest problem with like shonen manga is the fact that there always needs to be power scaling, in a sense of progression through numbers, if that makes sense. You see this often in DBZ, for example, like the scouters' power levels and all this sort of stuff. One Piece keeps track of it with bounties, right? Like Boku no Hero Academia keeps track of it with like hero rankings. Just all shonen manga reflect this kind of thing of trying to climb to be number one. And to do that, you need to fight against other people to actually show how strong they are, which is kind of like one of the cool thing about the genre, but also probably one of its greatest crutches, where it's just like, yeah, Luffy can save his crew, but it's just like, we need Luffy as the character that everyone is rooting for, and like the small boys wants to be constantly progressing and growing stronger to motivate our audience to potentially grow stronger as well. That's kind of it's funny because like DBZ is the modern grandfather of all shonen, and power levels were introduced in Dragon Ball as like a literal joke, because it was the thing that the villains were like, I don't need to worry about this guy, his power level's lower than mine. Like, they didn't understand that skill was a factor in fights, and also that Earthlings could hide their power level with training. So like, it's a weird thing, because shonen's all about surpassing your limits, so they need to set the limits in order for them to be surpassed, so therefore the like rankings don't matter in the first place. It's a struggle. You know?
Yeah.
Thinking about how the power levels are represented by bounties later just made me realize too, they introduced like Zoro as a bounty hunter. I don't think we ever see bounty hunters come up again. Can you imagine how cool it would be to see like a late game bounty hunter who could actually square up against some of the insane fucking bounties there are?
Yeah, like why? That's a good point. Like, why even put bounties at that level? Like no one's gonna casually be like, yo, I got a weekend free, let me take out Big Mom.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's just like I feel like if your objective is money, right? Why be a pirate when you could just be a bounty hunter?
Yeah.
Who hunts those pirates, right? Like,
okay. So real quick, I just want to interject because this is so. Dragon Rage Lee says, Ojiki has a great line in Ringland saying how bounty power levels are they represent how much a pirate represents danger to the world government. I just want to point out, if that's accurate, Robin's bounty should be like 200 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, if they never intend on fulfilling the bounty or having anyone do it, it does just become, these are collectible Pokemon cards.
Yeah. But anyway, Jaya is awesome and I like it a lot. So you'll notice we were like, Jaya's got this very obvious theme of like dreams, which is kind of a whole One Piece theme, but it's very on the nose in this arc. Even Baratie had its own theme. It was bad, but the bad guy had like a theme, and it wasn't done well, but it was there.
Yeah.
What was Skypia's theme? What was Enel antithetical to Luffy in regards to?
I don't fully know exactly, like, I think it's the fact that Enel had a god complex, right? Uh and that like huge power hungry kind of thing. It's not anything different from like rank or like you know monarchy like from Waffle or like strong jaw guy from East Blue, right? But like
So, for like a little while, I was like, oh, is the theme specifically using fear to control people, which we've seen, but it hasn't been the main theme of an arc. Because, like, when the Skypians were like, we're really afraid, but like we're pretending we're not, and everything's normal, but you could see how afraid they were.
Yeah.
And everyone's so scared of Enel, and they should be, because like I think it's really funny because Enel is like legitimately one of the most powerful characters in the series.
Like
he
can literally sense all the people around the island, and literally if they disobey him, he can just strike them with lightning. It's like
I would say Enel's probably exactly as strong as the Marine Admirals. They don't know he exists.
Yeah.
And Luffy hard counters it.
Yeah, it's this thing of like Enel. One thing I loved is Enel was just like, saw Luffy and was like, you're probably the strongest guy down there in the ocean. And Luffy's like, bro, I'm just a guy. It's like that.
There's even a moment where Luffy is talking with him and he's like, I'm gonna go down to the surface. And Luffy's like, there are so many people that could probably kick your fucking ass.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. I just don't. Skypiea. I'm like trying to find a succinct way to phrase this before I get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Skypia's issue to me is like all the other. So, do you remember in Alabasta when we were bitching about that stupid scene where Luffy fights with Vivi? And it's like, this is from another draft.
Yeah.
But like it's not a bad scene in another draft, I could imagine. They just didn't build up to it. It's like, Alabasta's probably on draft like 7 or 8 at this point. Skypiea is like, feels like draft 2 to me, where it's like, you have a lot of ideas. And on paper, not all of them are bad and not all of them are good, but like, there's just no cohesive through line. The Straw Hats have no motivation at all until about halfway through Skypiea when they're like, we're gonna find the gold. And that's fine, but frankly, this would have been so easy. They should have just on that boat that they salvaged found like there's a fuck ton of gold in Skypiea, because there's nothing wrong at all with a low stakes we're pirates, let's get the gold adventure. That's not my problem with it. It's just they're just fucking around, and really character motivation really is the problem with all of Skypiea. And I don't know how I'm gonna organize my thoughts on this because I could go in so many different orders, but why does anyone do anything that they do in Skypiea? And I also want to say up front, I think the Straw Hats are great in Skypiea. I just think everyone in the setting except Enel is a stupid idiot and nothing makes sense. Even the characters I like, I'm like, so I mentioned this. I like Conus and her dad. I like how ride or die they are.
Yeah.
Why are they ride or die? Like, they're ride or die before they know the Straw Hats are criminals. They're just like, oh, Blue Sea people. Great. Here, try out my presumably pretty expensive wave runner or whatever.
Take my motorcycle. It's fun.
Yeah, you can crash it. We don't care. Hey, come over to our house for a feast. It's like, this is very nice of them. Why are they doing this? And then like the instant it's like, yeah, I guess we're criminals. They're like still openly giving them advice in front of the cops. And it's like, gang, what? You don't know these guys. Like, they weren't even like super nice to you. They didn't help. Like, it wasn't like they stumbled on Conus's dad, like stuck somewhere, and they saved him. They're like, thank you so much. Here, let me assist you. They're just ride or die, and that's very strange. All of Enel's priests, what are they doing this? What do they think? They don't know Enel's goal. They don't know about the fairy Verth or whatever. They don't know he wants to go to the moon. They have no idea, and they don't even like Enel. And it's not like they're not scared of him either, because in the one scene you see them together, the guy who fights Chopper on the boat, the first one, he's just like, where's Mr. High and Mighty? And then Enel has an amazing introduction where he just drop kicks him in the face. He's like, did someone say God? Seinfeld laugh track. But like, I love Enel, but like, they don't follow him out of fear. and they don't follow him out of reverence, and they don't agree with him ideologically. So, like, who are these guys? And, like, they're like Chess and Marimo, where, like, at least Chess and Marimo were like, we're evil and helping an evil regime, but we're benefiting from it. Like, congratulations, priests. You get to live in a jungle with no buildings. Like, what's... I don't understand that. And,
like...
Go ahead.
If he had, like, maybe, like, a monopoly on the dials or something, like, some sort of, like...
Oh, that would be good?
Yeah. Like, some sort of benefit for working for him. Like, he had
control
of resources or something, right? Yeah.
Maybe in addition, you know how dials are all, like, you have to charge them with something and then they burst it out later? Maybe they all have, like, a thing where it's, like, dials are cool, by the way. I
love them,
where it's like, hey... In addition to, like, say you've got one of those kinetic energy dials, like the impact dials.
Yeah.
You need to charge them with two things: kinetic energy and electricity. So normally Skypians have to, like, gather electrons from clouds or wait for a thunderstorm, but Enel he's just like, I can charge them immediately. So like that would be something. It's like, very easy.
He mentions later on that he has, like, a fuck ton of rare jet dials because he had them from his home country that he brought over. He could very easily have been, like, supplying that.
Yeah, and I also want to point out Usopp has a lot of great moments in this arc, but the really quick one at the end where he's like lying about the value of shit like rubber bands to the Skypians to trade them for dials is so funny and clever. And Usopp uses dials for the rest of the series. Like he uses those in his fights forever. Like he keeps those. Okay. Sorry, do you have anything else to say on dials?
No. Go on.
There is no way I can, like, begin my, hey, Skypea, what's your problem, without mentioning this. Chad has mentioned it a couple times. The Shandians are horrible. Like, they're just the strangest, worst colonization story I've ever seen. I hate them and I don't root for them. And, like, this is One Piece. Like, I'm so down for the underdog in this, but I hate the Shandians so much.
I don't know. I don't really think the Shandians should be in the story. Like, you could have just made them, like, more of the other people. Like, I don't know, just have it be like not just like this, like, secondary group, and then there's this group under Enel, and just to have them all be under Enel like that. Like, I don't know, it's just you're adding too many parties already. Like,
they are very clunky.
Yeah.
In their entire execution.
So the Shandians are, like, stupid in a way where it's like, if you thought about their own motivations for like 8 seconds, they wouldn't be the way they are. Because, like, conceptually, I like them well enough. I like the idea of, like, a tragic story where this island, like a Sky Atlantis. I like the Nolan concept of the story where it's like, oh, we got shot up into the sky and then our land got taken over by sky people. And I like that dirt and iron are, like, crazy rare and valuable in Skypiea. Even though also, for what it's worth, they shouldn't be valuable because dials are cooler than anything people have on the surface or can make with metal, but I'll let that one slide.
Yeah.
Especially since iron clouds are a thing, which they shouldn't be. That makes no sense at all. But the emblematic of the problem with the Shandians, I can't believe this. To this read through, at least, Wiper is the worst character in One Piece. He's a lunatic. Like, there's this bit where I think it's in a flashback, and you're seeing Wiper, like, Stormin and Isa, or who also doesn't need to exist and shouldn't be here, is like, I'm always afraid of him. Like, it always seems like something's going bad when Wiper always seems to be at the center of every problem. It's like, yeah, guys, he's an actual sociopath.
Yeah, there's a part where Rocky is like, is this Wiper's fault?
Yeah.
And it's... There's, like, so much to talk about here. And, okay. What we learn at the end, even though this is chronologically last, this is what's in Wiper's head the whole time. Wiper has been told the true story of Nolan and what's the Shandian ancient warrior's name?
Kilgara.
Kilgara?
It's
Sure.
Calgara.
Calgara. He knows their story with Calgara, so he has this like personal storybook motivation that he wants to ring Calgara's bell so that Nolan's spirit will hear it or whatever, which like personally I think is stupid. It was 400 years ago, but I understand the sentiment.
Yeah, I think the sentiment's really dope.
It's like I get it. I would like to recount. Wiper is introduced, as are the other Shandians who are presented as guerrilla fighters, because the Straw Hats are not unique in coming up to Skypiea. In fact, there are many Sky Islands we learn later on, and it's not super uncommon for Blue Sea people to get up there, and through less insane ways. Wiper indiscriminately attacks and kills all of them and scuttles their ships. He, which is crazy to me, because if his entire thing is, wow, it turns out that my hero made unexpected best lifelong friends with a Blue Sea person, or like a foreigner who landed on his soil. The idea that Wiper just indiscriminately attacks Blue Sea people, psychotic. Later also, we learn that
when he learns that Nolan's descendant is down there, he starts crying, and I'm like, you care? Like, what the fuck's up with that? Yeah, like
legitimately, he's literally insane. And so this also confused Bo, and I don't blame Bo for it. Bo was like, Ganfor, I don't know how to tell you that your goat people who you really care about have been attacking and murdering like all these people in the woods, and they seem crazy. And I was like, no, Bo. You see, the order of operations in Skypiea was Ganfor was in charge with his group. Enel and the goats came in and took over, took all of Ganfor's warriors and hid them in an off-screen cave somewhere. And they're a completely different party. And Enel says he worked, and they were building his ark off-screen for 6 years.
Yeah.
And Enel mentions he killed them all, by the way, but it's One Piece, so no he didn't, because that would be sad. So they all show up at the end. And the only one you see on screen is the guy who's like, Canis, you have to tell them he's gonna blow up Sky Island, and then they...
My wife and child.
My wife, yeah, like, oh my god. And, so that happens, and we learn, yeah, thank you. We learn that there have been people who refuse to work with Enel, and they're part of the Ganfor's group, and they've like taken ships and tried to retreat, and it's like the gorillas caught and killed them, and it's like, then when the gorillas invade Upper Yard, they have 20 people. They have 20 guys. It's like, bro, you don't have any people in your army. You weren't recruiting these guys who wanted to fight against Enel. This would have been such a great way to boost your army. But Wiper's like, no, I want to kill them. And the moment I was like, Wiper showed up and I was like, I remember hating this guy on my first read through. I don't remember why. And then he bumps into Luffy at the start of the survival game, and Luffy's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, Straw Hat, I remember I tried to kill your ship. And he's like, what are you doing on our land? And Luffy goes, I thought this was Kami's land. I'm just gonna say God, I hate that translation. I thought this was like the gods' upper yard. He's like, no, they stole it from us, it's our land. Oh, okay, I see. I'm very sorry. And he bows to him and starts leaving. And Wiper's like, it's time for you to die. And I was like, Wiper.
I need to grab, I have something with this.
God.
Wiper, buddy, you have 20 dudes fighting a god. Here are some allies who you couldn't kill. You could get, they want to fight Enel. Work with them. And he never does.
Here's my opinion on how to make Wiper better. If you say Wiper no wiping, he has to stop what he's doing.
That's why he's so angry. Yeah.
Oh man.
Act 1 says Wiper uses 3 reject dials and doesn't die. Yeah, I want to mention. I actually think I'm gonna wait until we're done. I want to do a video essay about this, and I want to make it mostly about One Piece and trails and how the lack of actual consequence when you're telling serious, weighty stories completely. It's just the boy who cried wolf. It just ruins your storytelling. And I want to make a point that it's not just fights. it's also little things like Wiper being like, Wiper's stronger than normal because he's got a super impact dial called a reject dial, and if a normal person uses it, they just die from the recoil. But Wiper's strong enough that he can use it once before he dies, and then he uses it 3 times, and it doesn't matter, have any lasting impacts at all. And it's like,
and then
wow.
They add in another line later that's just like, no, Wiper, if you climb the beanstalk, you'll die.
And it's like,
Fuck
what?
off.
Oh, that's another thing. I understand that they needed the bell to be intact so that it could be the site of the final battle, and also that it's got a poneglyph on it, so it couldn't have been taken. But also, can we acknowledge that the bell would have been taken and melded into the gold ship without a second thought? Just put it on the ship as a trophy. There, Oda, it's on the ship. And because I couldn't get, this is a small dumb thing. I think the shit with the Shandians is like way worse, but this is a small dumb thing that really pissed me off.
Yeah.
They were like, Nami bumps into Enel, or like Robin, he bumps into someone, and they're like, oh, he doesn't know about the bell. And he's like, the bell? There's a bell of gold? I must have missed it. And then he goes, oh, you know what? I bet I know where it is. I'll go get it later. And, which like, you're like, oh, he must have the, like, his mantra is really powerful or whatever. But here's the thing. The bell is located on the top of a beanstalk that is so prominent, it was drawn on a map by...
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't. I was complaining about this.
Well, we'll get there. After I'm done with this, you can complain
please.
about that. But either way, there's a beanstalk. It's called Giant Jack. It's there, it's big, it's like the most visible part of Upper Yard. And the bell is just at the top of it. And that's it. And no one found it? No one found it for 500 years? I can understand them not finding a city buried in cloud soil. I actually think that's a really cool visual. And also great excuse for Robin, who's the best character in this arc, to be wandering around and doing like imagine, you know how like even on a cloudy day, if the sun's really strong, the clouds are still kind of glowing white. Like imagine the setting of a ruin surrounded by that kind of cloud glow. Like that's just really interesting. But like I can understand why no one but Enel would have been able to find that, because he's like, oh, I used my psychic dowsing powers. Hey, there's a city. Hey, it's covered in gold. I can conduct with this. Also, Enel being able to conduct electricity and gold is so fucking cool and smart, and I love it.
Yeah.
And he's like, we'll take all of that. But you're telling me that guy didn't notice the bell on the most prominent spot? What, is that out of his range for some reason? Also, he can fly. He can full ass fly. And so can a lot of the they have jet dials. One of his guys has a bird mount. They never went to the top of Giant Jack. Not even one time.
Yeah,
Come on.
You can just teleport with lightning. Like, I don't know. It's a lot of sloppy stuff because it's just like it's built this way so the story works, and it's just like, well, I mean, you could make it work better.
Okay. People are saying, I mean, Roger found it. His note was there. Guys, you're just confirming why it's stupid. Because if a visitor could find it while traipsing through Skypiea, why didn't the citizens know about it?
Yeah.
Ganfor didn't know about it. None of the Skypieans knew about it. Why didn't Enel's guys know about it? Because if they knew about it, they would have taken the gold and destroyed it and put it in his ship. I know why they didn't know about it. It's so that it could be a prop for the endgame. But, like, it's clear Oda didn't think about it. And speaking of things Oda didn't think about, Bo, do you want to talk about your historical dive into figuring out the geography of Skypiea?
God. Okay, so, here, I'll pull up a map.
Yeah.
So I was confused going into the whole Skypiea, it's the skull of Jaya thing, because I was of the opinion that, like, the upper yard was just a small part of Skypiea. Like, it has the little label in the left-hand corner there. I figured it was just, like, a chunk of it. But then looking at it and kind of reassessing it, no! The upper yard is, like, 95% of Skypiea.
Yep.
And everyone has been living in that tiny little cloud island in the corner of the map for at least 6 years, probably more than that. Because, like, they say at some point that Enel made them leave the upper yard when he took over, but there's no signs that they were living there beforehand anyway, so...
Yeah, there's no houses. There's a small god, like, Shinto area where Enel lives. Did they all live, like, up there? Did nobody live in the jungle? Not a single person? None of the...
It was so important to them. And it was so important to that the Shandians weren't allowed to have it again.
Look,
which is just such a fuck you. It's like, not only are we taking your island, we're not going to use it.
Look, it's actually smart, because as we've learned through One Piece, if you go belly out in a jungle, that's how you die. So, Enel's actually just looking out for the Skypians.
Yeah, actually the colonizers were really kind to the... You know what? That's clearly a joke, but again, can we just point out historically how fucking stupid the Shandians were in regards to their own home and how it worked?
It's like, One Piece has this very frustrating thing where it's kind of like the white savior trope, like... constantly, where it's like Luffy comes into this, like, you know, culture and then saves the day and then leaves, you know?
Now, Aloha, it's okay if Luffy comes and saves the desert people from their confusing war, because all the desert people are also white, except Robin, but don't worry, we'll make her white later.
We'll fix that real fast.
Yeah. So, no, like, to Bo's point, there's all that shit, and it's like, you've got the ruins of Shandia.
Mm.
Which I want to point out, there were ruins of Shandia that were from the Void Century, 800 plus years ago. That's the El Dorado city. And then, like, the Shandians themselves seem to live in, like, thatch huts. So, makes sense that wouldn't be around, and there wouldn't be evidence of that. But the Skypians, clearly, they took over Upper Yard. Like, they took it. It's the whole point of the plot. But they didn't build any cities on it, and like, did they take the whole thing and then only live in like the one chunk Enel currently lives on? And are there only like 100 Skypians? Is that why they were all able to be relocated to Angel Island without much fuss? And they were like, damn, Upper Yard is only allowed for this conqueror now, but there's enough room on this 2% of the island. And someone earlier was like, there's other Sky Islands. Like, I know that, but the maps of Skypiea called Skypiea look like that, and they only have one cloud on them.
And with the map, you pointed out the beanstalk. The map that Luffy and them have is from 200 years ago. They make a point of saying that. The island was launched into the sky 400 years ago, and we see in that flashback that the part with the bell got fucking impaled on the beanstalk. Why is the beanstalk not on the map?
Also that's dumb. Why didn't a beanstalk just grow underneath it? Like,
for real.
Like,
for real.
The real reason is that, like, when the island went up in the sky, they didn't have internet connection, so they couldn't get, like, a Clip Studio brush to make an easy beanstalk drawing.
What?
So they were like, I'm not gonna draw it, you know? We can just assume it.
Like, they even went out of their way to be like, yeah, the forest is giant up here because it's in the sky, which, like, fine. Okay, I don't care. It's Sky Island. I'm fully willing to, like, I'm willing for things to be stupid, but they need to play by their own rules is the issue. And, also, okay. So, the flashback with the Shandians.
Yeah.
And Nolan. It's like obviously very tragic, but can I just throw out there how little sympathy I have for the Shandians as depicted in this flashback, where like obviously they're like Oda read a Wikipedia article about like Mayan sacrifice, so like I can understand that. Like there's like actual things where it's like we worship a sun god, like this is historical precedent, I get it, and it's like we think we're trying to like that by killing this person it will save everything. I get that. I don't attach any bad morality to that. My problem with them is that after this guy comes to their island and is like fucking caught in a stupid earthquake fissure, which what the hell was that, by the way? And the guy is just like, that's I keep forgetting his name, Kalgara. He's just like, that's my daughter being sacrificed, and you think I don't care about this? Haha, I will watch you die, which is a very fucked up thing for him to do, by the way. And he keeps surviving, and then like 12 hours later, Nolan's like, don't you understand? This, I can save your people. And then Kalgara's like, oh man, now that you said those words to me, I guess I changed my mind, since it'll be dramatic, since we'll run and rescue them just in time, which is fucking stupid. Nolan would have said it immediately, and Kalgara would have either said fuck off, or he would have done that earlier. And like, that's all dumb, but like, I get it. I straight up cannot forgive the bit where it's like suddenly the Shandians won't talk to us for some reason, and they're like, you must leave, and it's like, I guess we're not welcome, we gotta go. And then one person's like, it's too sad, you don't understand, they're mad because you killed our ancestor trees. And it's like, you're grown-ass adults. It's fine that you have this belief in ancestor trees. Maybe you're right. I don't give a fuck about that. But the idea that these people who demonstrably saved your culture and also revealed that your god wasn't real as you worshipped it, they just straight up were right about that. And Kalgara even says, I respect two things, the gods and my ancestors, and then the gods are completely disproven, which, like, I don't know what his internal logic there was, but he was like, oh shit, maybe I should take a minute to think about this. And then they chop down the ancestor trees to stop a plague. And instead of being like, bro, you fucking chopped down our ancestor trees, we're so mad at you, why would you do that? Explain yourselves before we attack. They're just like, we're gonna be men and not express what we think. I'm so mad. And
I like that you take in a we're men situation when I immediately associate it with like, this is what like angry teenage girls do when they don't know how to communicate things to each other.
Totally right. And then, someone in Frozen SCV also says, also, they just let them do it. Like, it's a good sized forest. No one brought up any issues. And like, Nolan's crew are arborists. Like, that's their big... So you think they would have mentioned, like, wow, you got a really cool island here. You got all these trees. But hey, we're gonna go cut down these trees because they're infected. And they'd be like, you can't cut those down. They're our ancestor trees. And like, even, like, you're telling me none of the arborist crew who came to this island to study trees would have mentioned the really cool trees, especially when a tree and like penicillin style medication made from it was the reason they were able to save their people the first time. Like, did they have no questions? Were they not like, oh, what other tree, like, what else can these trees do? And they were like, well, these ones can do this. Oh, hey, these are infected. Like, the amount, I guess what I'm saying is, Oda thought of a tragic circumstance with this bell that he wanted and was like, I will make these characters do anything to set this up, and I will not think about how any of them would have reacted.
It's tragic, really, because like Skypiea could have been so fucking good with like the setup, with Jaya, with everything going on, but I think clearly Oda had stuff going on because he, like, the panels, I haven't talked about it here yet. I'm about to use it to segue.
Go for it.
The panels got a little bit sloppy. I don't know if you guys have been reading digital or physical, but I've been reading physical. And so Oda's been doing this bad thing recently, where he's been having a lot of panel bleed, where it's like this 60% like thing, where it's just like the one page just kind of goes on the other page like a little bit, right? And this isn't like a printing issue. This is just like a stylistic choice. Right, which is like, you can see it right here in this digital screenshot provided by Bo. You can see like the line where it is, right? And obviously it's like, oh, that's digital, you know, it's just like, it's not that big of an issue. And then there's like, you know, right here, there's like other egregious, like, because it happens a lot, right? And then there's, here's what it looks like in the case of a physical thing. This is my thumb reveal. You can see, wait, let me see if that shows up. Yeah, that shows up pretty good, where it's just like, you can see just how much that interrupts everything going on. Right? It's like super. Oh, that's for something I want to talk about later. but but yeah, like it's a really frustrating thing that can really break up the flow of a lot of like interactions and fights, which makes Skypiea even harder to read.
Yeah, I did actually notice that Skypiea had worse panel composition, and also the first couple instances of me looking at Nami and going, ugh, why'd you draw her like that?
Yeah.
I was noticing too, we are creeping into the era of everything is too complicated.
There's a couple fights, both of them were Zoro fights. If you asked me what was happening when Zoro was fighting the fucking Shandian lieutenant who didn't need to exist,
Yeah.
and the sword iron guy who super didn't need to exist, and you were like, what's happening at any stage of this fight? I would go, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
But like there weren't really any stakes or anything, so it's just like understanding what was going on didn't really like fully matter. There were some good fights that I enjoyed in Skypiea. One of them is what I had the screenshot up for, because we talked about this like a little bit, right? Is the chopper fight versus the bird guy, right? It's good compared to a lot of the other fights in this arc because there's stakes. The stakes being that Chopper's protecting the boat, right? Versus this guy with fucking fire spear that's burning the fuck out of the boat. And it's like, wow, that's something could be lost here. So Chopper has to try his best, and he does the silly whistle blow. Look at him.
Mm-hmm.
And someone says, did you read colored or
Yeah,
black
I was
and
just
white?
trying to point that out.
Go ahead.
Yeah, if you need color to understand some of these fights, that is a bad sign, because the color version of One Piece is published months or years later.
Yeah.
They are made to be in black and white. That is the intended reading experience. If they don't read that way, that's bad.
Yeah. Another fight that was a lot of fun, which someone in chat earlier pointed out, is the first case of a woman beating a man in One Piece. Was Robin versus that big guy with all the axe dials on his like vest.
Too bad that fight sucked and shouldn't have happened.
I mean, like, one thing I really enjoyed about it was Robin's use of her powers. Obviously, where she used the hands to turn the dials in reverse so that when he belly flopped, it hit him instead. Right? I think that was a very clever way to solve it, even though the fight shouldn't have existed, because, like, obviously, like, most of the fights in Skypiea are just awful.
That's a clever solution. Like, that's like, okay, that's the equivalent of me being like, if I set up this Rube Goldberg device, I can snipe this guy before he can get me. But, like, also I have a button that I can press from the start that's just kill man instantly, which is what Robin's power is. That's why Robin doesn't get fights, is because if she was allowed to be Robin, then she would just kill people by snapping their neck or spine immediately. And, like, I don't know, let Robin have this one? No, I'm not going to be satisfied with breadcrumbs. I'm going to keep asking for Robin to get actual meals.
Robin definitely deserves more, because, like, I think Robin is my favorite Straw Hat in this entire, like, arc, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the way she interacts with this, like, culture and, like, discovering the ruins and, like, her goals of like the poneglyphs and like all the other stuff is just like so interesting, right? And that's why Skypiea, like, for like 80% of it, I'm like, okay, I don't care. And then Emil shows up, and then Robin starts discovering like the texts and stuff. I'm like, okay. And I love it because Robin's just like, another super weapon. Fuck, I hate this. Why do we keep finding super weapons?
Yeah, I like, this is gonna be important. Robin seems completely fine with murder, unlike the rest of the Straw Hats. Zoro is too, actually. So if she got more fights, realistically, she'd just snap necks and move on. Yeah, remember that for near the tail end of this reading session discussion. He-hoo. There's so many, because, like, Aloha's reading a lot of this for the first time, but there's so many times when, like, Bo and I will just have field days bitching about shit back and forth to each other. Yeah, no, like, I understand that the idea of the Yama fight is that to show that Robin cares about protecting structures. Like, and like, I like that, but the problem is her power lets her kill anyone immediately. So she would just go, you broke a ruin. I hate you. literally die. But instead she's like, I have to get him away from the ruins. And in doing so, she breaks like more ruins. And it's just like, I'm comedically evil. I see that you like these ruins. I'll destroy them. It's like, bro, this is your upper yard.
Bro,
it's
it's
not
your
like
house.
I'm literally like a fucking priest here.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
One good thing we talked about like right before stream is that Nami acknowledges that Robin is as strong as like Zoro, Sanji, and Luffy by saying like, yeah, no, you four don't blow that fucking whistle.
It's like, here's the thing. I don't have a different way to phrase this. In a manga written by someone who isn't a sexist, Robin could beat Zoro and Sanji without even blinking. Like, she is the second strongest Straw Hat. She couldn't beat Luffy because he's made of rubber.
How did that happen?
Yo ho ho, he took a bite of gum gum. But, like, Robin could destroy Zoro and Sanji.
Yeah.
Or the soldier's like, no, family.
No.
Doesn't what's-her-name's dad live at the end? Yeah, so
Yeah.
the first time I read this 10 years ago, Igaram showing up made me go, what the fuck? Pell living made me literally scream, and I stopped reading for like a week because I had to be like, man. And then Caunus's dad surviving I was like, oh, no one is allowed to die no matter what, huh?
Yep. Hey, speaking of not a sexist, I need to point out.
Yeah.
I need to point out based.
I love it.
Daniel's fucking.
It's so good.
I love the like unnecessary woman Shandian who Wiper's a huge bastard to the entire time for no reason. She shows up and then Enel's like, all right, another target. He's like, no, she's a woman. Okay.
I don't
wreck
care.
yourself before you wreck yourself, idiot.
I saw.
I know I saw is amazing. Like, holy shit. Like, I don't know. Enel's like straight up an actual psychopath, but like, he's so fun.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need those
Zoro
unreasonable
saying
guys.
she's a woman made me so mad.
Yeah. Gosh, I know, I saw.
And yeah, no, I don't know if it was included in there, but the Bo mentioning, like, I mentioned that at one point in my read, and then Bo catching up on like 700 chapters in 2 days was like, love this panel of Enel, and I was like, oh, I love that we had the same reaction to the same thing, and you were like, no, you were talking about a different moment because it happens twice.
Yeah, it happens twice.
Yeah. God. Like, God, Skypiea. Like, I don't know. It's just like I feel like you could just completely remove the Shandians, replace like Wiper's ancestor with just the Sky Knight guy to give him like even more of a reason to like want to get the bell back because he's just like
maybe like even just have them be like. Maybe there's like an old sect of traditionalist Skypians who like made friends with the Shandians when they came up and they were like, we value this bell, but like new age people are like, I don't give a fuck about that bell. It's made of gold. Let's use it or something.
Yeah.
Or like maybe gold is used to power dials and they're like, we don't really care about gold. It's shiny, but it's useful.
Yeah.
Or someone also mentioned, and this is a really good, I'm sorry, I don't want to scroll up to find who said this, but they were like, the dumb tree thing was in the past was like a completely unnecessary extra step in Nolan's backstory because it would have been completely fine for the Shandians to leave on a good term and be like, come back someday. We'll be playing the bell every day until you get here. Because Nolan's backstory is already tragic. Like, it didn't need this extra dumb step that made me go, damn, I'm glad all those Shandians are dead.
Yeah.
And also, the idea that they've got this colonial element, and then the Skypians themselves become a people in diaspora because Enel takes over their country, which is what they did to the Shandians, and there's no parallels drawn. And, like, also Ganfor is just like, we would love to reintroduce you to your native land. Like they just... It's completely ruined by having this previous Kami who is just like, no, I'm completely sympathetic to your plight. I'd love to bring you guys back. And then Wiper, who is not the chief of the Shandians, by the way, and does not have the authority to make this call, was like, kill 100 Skypians and I will allow it. And it's like, Wiper, buddy, what's your goal?
No
Is your
wiping.
goal Wiper, no wiping?
Completely doesn't care later. He's like, I need to kill Enel and then we will be equal. And it's like, hey, what happened? What happened to when the guy who was completely willing to make a deal with you and was willing to like figure shit out and you were like, no, 100 innocent people need to die.
Did Ganfor actually let them come back, or did he just say, yeah, you could come back, but never actually did it? He was like open to doing talks, and they told him to go murder his own people, which I'm gonna say, like, not to victim blame here, but like maybe that's the wrong move.
You know, this is also hitting me with the stupid fucking map layout. Hey, if the Shandians were kicked off of their island, and all of the Skypians are on the tiny little cloud island, where the fuck were the Shandians living?
They were in a secret cloud village, don't you remember? They were in a secret cloud village, they mentioned it.
Dude, that's a Naruto reference. It's a village hidden in the clouds.
Hidden in the cloud.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and just like, it's the same. It's like they've got the one, like Killer Bee is the best part of that part of Naruto, and the rest is like, oh, whatever. And Enel's the best part of One Piece.
Oh man, if only Enel rapped.
Yeah. Actually, I often see Enel affectionately referred to as One Piece Eminem.
I think Otis straight up said that was his like face reference for Enel at some point.
God,
fair enough.
Fucking great.
Yeah, but like, okay, you guys help me out with this, because I genuinely don't, like, I feel like I might be missing something. Ganfor has this scene. He's got that scene with Wiper, who again, not the chief of the Shandians, should not be the rep in this. He's literally the worst diplomat they have. And like, Ganfor sees that Wiper is not being diplomatic about it, and he like, I don't know if he offers this as an olive branch or what, but as he's walking away, he's like, by the way, I just wanted to say, my favorite food is these pumpkins. Or whatever. And Wiper goes ballistic at that. So clearly that means something to him. And during the flashback to old school Shandora, I believe Nolan's crew introduced the pumpkins to Shandia. So I was like, okay, so does that mean, like, what am I supposed to take from that? Does that mean that to the Shandians, culturally, the pumpkins are a sign of like communication or like peace between foreign entities? Is that like, did they retain that over 400 years? If so, how does Ganfor know about that? Honestly, how does Wiper know about that? Like, I understand that it would be like really important to the people who lived in that era, but do you really think, basically the metaphor I ended up using was like, imagine if Peru and Italy had beef, and then the leader of Italy was like, by the way, my favorite food is tomatoes, and then the Peruvian guy was like, what the fuck was that?
Bro.
Help me.
Bro, I think he just like really liked pumpkins and was mad that the other guy was eating all the pumpkins.
Yeah, like, yeah, no. Wiper learned about Nolan's story and relationship with the Shandians and made it his motivation, but didn't take to heart literally any other part of that story. So, there is no other way to read Wiper other than and like, I mean this no hyperbole in every way, an actual bloodthirsty sociopath who has no goals in his heart but violence. And he has justified his want for violence to himself by using what is genuinely a real issue in his sociological climate. And I bet the 5 years down the road from the Shandians getting their land back, Wiper will be shot dead in the street and seen as an alt-right terrorist because he will have to find something new to, like, well, he'll be shot alive because it's One Piece. But Like he never reacts in a way that made any sense for anyone in this position. Also, he's like, we're going to go fight Enel, and then you're obviously like, well, Enel's not. You can't do anything to Enel. He's made of lightning. You stupid idiot. And then like, he pulls out. He's like, I've got my sea stone shoes. It's like, A, how did you get those? I assume you got them from a boat, but like, what the fuck? B, how do you know what sea stone is and how it interacts with devil fruit, people?
But if you knew that you couldn't hurt him, why didn't you tell all of your guys that?
And
like,
also, if you could hurt him, that means your goal was to get you specifically to Enel. And the fact that multiple times he was like, anyone who's not willing to die, stop right here. Everybody split up. It's like, were you trying to get your dudes killed? What's your goal at any time, Wiper? Are you crazy? Yeah, how did he even know Enel had a devil fruit? He didn't, because none of the other Shandians knew, and we're all scared and surprised. Yeah, Enel wasn't keeping it a secret, but they didn't know! The other Shandians, who were like his right and left-hand man, were the ones that were used to show off Enel's power, and both of them were like, oh my god, he's literally lightning, we can't hurt him. So they didn't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like this kind of thing where they probably just assumed like Enel's like lightning shit was just tied to his like extra sensory bullshit where he could sense the entire island. Cause like, I don't know, it's this thing at One Piece where it's like, yeah, devil fruits make sense, but when you got people like like the Mario guy or like, you know, Iron Clouds and all this other stuff, right? Then like, what's the point of a devil fruit, and what's the difference of a devil fruit between like other stuff?
Yeah,
you know,
I guess it's funny because like either way, if you justify that as like, well, Wiper probably didn't know he had a devil fruit, he thought it was just god powers. Makes total sense, but then like, why did he know about that? And like, even if he met and tortured and definitely murdered and threw the body off some Blue Sea people where he got that from, like, was he like, let me tell you about what I'm doing, I'm killing this lightning guy, and someone's like, wow, that sounds like Sea Prism Stone would stop that. That sounds like a Logia fruit. Cool. Oh, we're way past this at this point, because I hear Wipa, I hear his name, and I'm eclipsed with anger. Mm-hmm. But I want to point out, I like that Chopper had a little mini arc where he was like, I need to protect the ship, and he fails. Yeah. Despite trying his absolute best, he's like, I wasn't able to beat anyone without Usopp's help, and everyone's always looking out for me, and I feel like I'm a fucking anchor on this team. And then he fights the stupid swamp guy who also shouldn't exist. But it's like, this kind of makes sense for Chopper. It's like, I did it, I want to fight all by myself. And then he's beat off screen 10 seconds later by another character of the same rank, so it didn't matter, and his entire thing was completely undermined, and it was a waste of time.
One of my favorite things is that Chopper is just like, Usopp, I couldn't protect the ship. There was a guy with a fire lance, and Usopp's, like, oh, yeah, dude, shit's scary. I don't blame you.
Yeah, no, the fact that Usopp's like, because Usopp cares about the ship more than anyone else, and that's a huge recurring thing. And the fact that Usopp is like, who cares about the ship? Are you okay? We can always get another ship, but we can't get another Chopper. Yeah. And like, even Chopper is like stunned by that reaction. And it's like, it's so sweet. Like, there's so many good moments. And okay, I've been dunking on Skypiea so hard. What are some good things? I think every Straw Hat except Zoro. No, even Zoro has that moment where he's like Tarzaning across a vine.
Yeah, oh dude, the Tarzan joke, I loved it.
That's good. Nami gets a lot of great moments. I love her bit with Enel. I think that's really funny.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, I'll join you, yeah.
I completely forgot about the chunk of the fight where Zoro and Sanji come back and raid the ship. Yeah. That whole section was, no pun intended, that was gold. That was so funny.
I was literally like, where's Zoro and Sanji? And I forgot about them kind of. And then it's just like, you see Usopp fucking hanging from the ship by like a grappling hook. And he's like, ugh.
It was even another case, I forgot that Sanji got a little moment where he got to go off screen and do some secret shit again.
Yeah, dude, fucking Sanji getting hit by lightning and is just like, thanks,
I light his cigarette.
Yeah, it's so fucking good. I'm just like, God, I love that.
Yeah, it's really cool. I can't lie.
It's like, my monkey brain goes, yes, that's lit. I love it.
Yeah, no, and like Robin gets a lot of good moments.
Yeah.
Luffy's in Snake jam. So
Yeah.
I think the snake is stupid, but I will say I do think it's a good excuse for like Gold to be in the snake, and I do like the idea that Enel can't detect people's spirits because the snake is a larger living being, and how would he notice? Like that I think is clever, and it's a good excuse to take Luffy out of the fight.
It's like this thing where it's because like obviously Enel's all like pretty much the god complex and knowing everything, and it's like this thing of like he predicted that there would be 5 people left, right? And so that's why he was like, oh yeah, this is my prediction and it's going to become true. But the fact that that prediction could never become true because Luffy was outside of his omniscient presence because he was eaten by a snake is like kind of like the first like crack in Enel's like ideology, kind of, right?
I guess. Yeah, I guess. The reason I think it's weak is because so with like this is an unfair comparison, but like with Crocodile the theme of fear is throughout, you know? Like it's the whole saga, everyone's affected by it. I said fear. I meant trust.
Yeah, and you can understand like how much work he has put into getting the Alabastans to like him and like distrust the king and all of this stuff.
Like
and they needed to set that up with
Robin's relationship with trust is really important.
Yeah.
And they needed to set up fear with Enel and the people because they didn't.
Like the thing is like Crocodile worked so good because there was so much buildup. Right? They kind of revealed Enel and Crocodile kind of in the same way, but bad. Like Enel was kind of poorly compared to Crocodile because it's just like you hear about this Mr. Zero guy, you hear about Crocodile and all this other stuff, but you never see him. So it kind of builds that suspense, right? Where it's like Sanji talks to him over the phone, which is like he's always a presence that's always mentioned and stuff until he shows up. And Enel is the same way, but he never actually affects the plot at all until like he actually physically shows up. So while Crocodile was a presence that everyone heard about and affected the plot and actually created this kind of fear, Enel was like, yeah, he's a guy that exists. He's scary, right? But nothing is shown to show why he's scary. Nothing's all that until he shows up.
He got his big lightning that he could kill you instantly with big light. Aloha, it's really scary because if you hit it, you might fall down unharmed to the cloud below, and that is inconvenient.
I did want to say that was another thing that I liked in this arc is that the lightning is drawn really cool.
Yeah, I love the
I
pillars
really
of
like
lightning.
how it looks.
Yeah.
Oh, and conversely, because I don't have enough to say badly about Skypiea, apparently, I think the way they rendered the tree leaves looked like shit. The whole arc, they just scalloped it in the same direction every single time. I was actually trying to tell if it was like a digital brush for a little bit.
we could
Which it couldn't have been, because
No.
Oda didn't start working digitally until the pandemic.
Damn.
Really? Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Man. There's...
Sorry, I just saw that you posted that the Robin getting shot. That she's a woman. I know. That's I would say that like the instant they step on upper yard and it's like the survival game has started. If you jumped to the panel where it's the 5 survivors in front of Enel, like that would be the best place to. You would improve the Skypiea reads so much. And that scene where they're all just like, which one of you wants to die to make my prediction true? And Zoro is just like, how about you, Robin? What are you feeling? No, thank you.
Yeah. And I just shared these too. I like that there are also parts with Enel where he doesn't do something really cool with his powers to take someone out. He just fucking smacks Usopp and kicks Luffy's hand off when Luffy is coming up to him. Like, I like that. I like that he doesn't need to be like insanely cool. He just is effective.
Yeah, it's like yeah, he was shocked when like Luffy got struck by lightning, but he was like, it's fine. I'll just beat you with this stick then. Like
Enel using the superheat of electricity to reshape gold to make weapons is the coolest fucking thing. I think it's still one of like, it's just a genius extra way to like set more up in the arc. I love it.
Yeah, Oda really thought about how to make lightning powers cool, and how because like we saw in like the previous arc Baroque works about how like all these Logia users like Crocodile, right? And it's like, oh Luffy, you can't hit me with your power because I don't know, you're not fire or like water or anything to really like, you know, disturb my sand or anything. But it's nice that you see the inverse, like almost exactly like afterwards, where it's like, oh, you're made of rubber, and lightning doesn't work, and it's like, yeah, guess that's how it works.
It's so funny that like, because rubber comes from trees and only a specific kind, so like of course Enel doesn't know about it.
Yeah.
And it's genuinely like a genius setup. Oh my god, there's like one other thing I wanted to mention. I just, it's such a small thing. I really wish this, like, the Straw Hats were on a gold hunt from minute one, because once they start hunting for gold, I'm like really rooting for them. It's such a fun classic piratey adventure.
Yeah. It's very nice. I don't know if there's anything else to say about Skypiea.
To wrap things up, someone said this way back.
Yeah.
But I need to call back to it, where it was someone saying, Enel straight up would have won if Luffy wasn't there. Did he lose?
Oh yeah, Enel didn't really lose. He didn't get his like victory lap of grabbing the bell and
he didn't get his McDonald's.
How did I literally just phrase it? It was like, yeah, no, Enel sure fucking just wins. He's like, I want to go to the moon, and they're like, by the way, there's this bell, and he's like, yeah, and I think I should kill everyone in Skypiea while I'm at it. And he's just like, damn, I didn't get to do that. And like, not even as a cover story. I did not remember this happening immediately. He's just like, ow, fine. I won't get McDonald's on the way to the moon. I'll just go to the moon. And like, he gets what he wants.
Yeah.
He fucks off in a giant gold ship and just leaves.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, going to the endless verse. An endless farce, that's what it's called. Yeah. Like, it's guy wins. Like, he doesn't like get the like supreme victory, but he wins.
Is there a cover story for Enel, please? Yes, there is. I'm debating something because I want to bring up another thing that makes no sense about the Shandians, and I didn't pick, like, all right, maybe I'm stupid. I didn't pick up on this until I was like researching stuff, other stuff on the wiki, and I'd already read this and I didn't pick up on it. So and this is not the crux of Enel's cover story. Yeah. And I like Enel's cover story. And so I guess this is a spoiler. But it relates to Skypiea, and it hasn't come up in the present of One Piece yet, other than the cover story. So I don't think this will ruin anything. I hope it's a harmless spoiler. At some point, when Enel reaches the moon, there are ruins on the moon, implying humans were on the moon, or like some sentient race was on the moon. And there's Mayan-style ruins with depictions of 3 races, and there's some little robot guys on the moon, and I remembered that. So in my head, I was like, the races depicted on the moon are Skypieans, Enel's version of Skypieans, which have different wings and the little antennae that like the goat people. Birkins. And I was like, and the robots, which they made and are still on the moon, and they had to leave. And like essentially the Skypieans emigrated from the moon to Earth, and like don't worry about how they did that. And no, I was wrong, because I looked it up, and it's like the 3 races depicted on the moon are Skypieans, Birkins, and Shandians. So you're telling me the 3 races on the moon went to Earth, landed on separate parts of the Earth, which I can believe, but the Shandians, who are so historically minded to the point they will kill people to defend a city to save a message for 800 years and then pass on a story about their oppression in this bell for 400 years. They don't remember being on the moon? They don't remember the Skypians? And like that's why they have wings even in the flashback, like before they get to Skypiea. They're from the moon. That's weird, right? Am I stupid?
Look, man.
No, yeah.
Look.
The point I made after that was that it, like, you pointing that out just made me kind of feel more for Robin with her finding the poneglyph later and being like, oh god, it's another fucking super weapon one. It's not history.
And
it just, because that's like, that is real. That does happen where there's things that we have lost to history because it's such basic knowledge. We didn't think it was important enough to write down because, like, why would we forget it?
You're talking about Damascus Steel, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like Fox Owl, who is a new first-time reader, was like, yeah, the Shandians had wings in the flashback. I was so confused. I'm glad you noticed.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was the Void Century seems to be it, because the poneglyph was like directly after that, and they talk about the giant attack 800 years ago. 800 years ago is directly following the Void Century.
And like, that's fair. I still think it's kind of weird, but
Yeah,
like,
it is.
we'll see. Like, maybe it'll be justified, but I think it's strange.
Yeah.
Does blue glasses? Oh god, does One Piece ever get better after this? Water 7. I was telling Aloha, who is completely blind on Water 7.
Yeah.
That I remember going through One Piece and being like, this is pretty fine. I've already read all of East Blue. Really loving Alabasta and Baroque works. Finding Skypiea exactly the same as I do now, except the things that are stupid piss me off about it more. So I actually hate it now instead of just disliking it. And then I'm actually one of the few people who on my first read, I was a rare Foxy arc liker. I am not this time around, but for different reasons. Then when I read Water 7 and Ennis Lobby, I was like, One Piece is so good. It's like one of the best manga I've ever read. And then I started watching One Piece while working on projects in the background, and I couldn't tell if it was because of the anime slowdown or like the pacing's worse, or if it was because certain things in Water 7 are better on your, like, going in blind. But the second time, Water 7 was still good, but I found Ennis Lobby really boring, and that made me not like Water 7 by association. But I do think Water 7 is another high point of the series. But after that, yes, I would say it never gets to the highs of Alabasta or Water 7 again.
Yeah. So yeah, we're pretty much done with Skypiea. There is a little bit after Skypiea that we read, and I fucking hate it.
Tell me about it.
I do not like the Foxy arc, because I am a big component of. I hate filler. That's not like everyone hates filler, but like I'm a big hater of cooldown in a story like this, right? Like I feel like things should just keep building a momentum, right? And I feel like the Foxy arc really kills that fucking momentum. And obviously at the end, you learn about the Marine, like the general fuckers, right? And it's like, yeah, that's cool and all, and it's building towards something greater. But it's just like, oh, there's this silly little game we're playing where it's just like, oh, you might lose a party member and you don't. And it's just like, okay, then what was the point? Is anything built off of this? Is there like, does Foxy come back and is like, I'm a little fucker? Oh.
Well, in the anime, Foxy is the anime's darling. They love bringing him back for more Davy back filler arcs, which I think, because I cannot express this enough, Aloha. Toei is the worst, and One Piece's policy of never pausing and being an endless anime makes it one of the worst anime ever created.
I mean, I feel that's like a big downside of a lot of anime, though, and that's why they mostly stopped doing it. Because I've had this giant conversation before about how Black Clover and Boku no Hero Academia came out around the same time. Boku no Hero was one of the first like Shonen Jump for the most part that like came out with like a seasonal format, right? That was like that popular, you know? Because like there was Bleach, there's Naruto, and like One Piece and all that other stuff like came out like that. But Boku no Hero came out with a seasonal format, and the quality, the music, and all of this other stuff made it so beloved, right? And I think Black Clover is probably equally as good as Boku no Hero Academia in a manga format, right? But Black Clover came out right after Boku no Hero's season was over, right? And I thought what they were gonna do was like swap it out every season, where it's Boku no Hero Academia, Black Clover, Boku no Hero Academia, Black Clover. But Black Clover was on that format where you just keep pumping it out every week. And so what they had to do, right, at the very start, this very fast-paced shonen story that's based off of a lot of older shonen, they slowed the pace of it down, making it excruciating to watch, right? But then kept making it come out, like, weekly for, like, ever, right? And thus, like, kind of, like, making the series worse than it should have been. When they could have just, you know, taken the love and care that they put into Boku no Hero Academia and put it into that, and then have 2 great shows instead of just, like, 1 great show that everyone's just, like, a lot of people talk about. A lot of people are falling off of Boku no Hero Academia because it's, like, nearing the end and, like, its hype kind of died down because it's, you know, it's been going on for a while and it's just how things go. But it's just, like, you barely hear about Black Clover unless it's people shitting on it, right? Where it's, you know... So it's just, like, One Piece suffering from that. Especially, I think, like, I've heard that later episodes of the anime are, like, 1 episode represents 1 chapter.
It gets worse than that, actually. It's
oh yeah, it's much worse.
The openings to so you know how Yam, Lenti, and I on and off are doing like a best anime opening shit. We've watched like all the Seven Deadly Sins, all the Hero Aka ones. With the One Piece ones, especially if someone's seen a show or read it, we're gonna have you here so you can be like, oh, that represents this, there's extra thematic meaning, give it more points or give it less points or whatever. And so Yam and I did that for One Piece, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna give you the power, Yam. When you are bored by a One Piece opening, you're allowed to skip to the next one. And the One Piece openings are all like 2.5 minutes long to kill more time every episode. The outros are super long, and every episode of One Piece for like 500 episodes starts with legitimately 5 or so minutes of
like recap.
Flashback.
One thing actually that I think a lot of people talked about, and I know you know, this isn't manga related, but I keep hearing about the G8 arc.
Yeah.
Can we? I think we should. Oh no, I was gonna say I think we should close on that, but no, it happens before the Foxy arc.
It happens before the Foxy arc. Yeah.
So for anyone who's unfamiliar, G8 is an arc that it's kind of regarded as one of the best anime filler arcs of all time, and I would say it's actually better than more than half of canonical One Piece.
I read about it a little bit, like before stream, and because like I heard you guys talk about it, I heard some people in chat talk about it, and G8 was supposed to be a movie, but then they turned it into a filler arc instead.
Wow, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm glad they did that, because there was enough that they... So, G8 has... this is actually kind of a common dynamic, but for the first half of One Piece, it's rare. G8 has Usopp and Robin working as a team, which you see again in Dressrosa, but like in canon, not until then. And their dynamic is so fucking funny. So for people who know nothing about it, G8 is an arc they added directly after Skypiea, where after they land in the middle of a ring-shaped Navy base. And they are on the run and hiding within the base, and some of them get captured, some of them are literally just like crawling around in the vents, some of them take disguises, and everybody gets like a good, even like Sanji gets a good non-fight fight where he like sees the
fight.
Yeah, and I think it's against a woman too. Isn't the head chef a woman? And he's not like, I'm not gonna compete with you since you're a woman. So it's like one of the better stunts.
Like legitimately goes up against her with a cooking fight.
And it's like he sees the Marines are throwing away a bunch of food, and he's like, you idiots, use these leftovers and you can make these things. And like, oh my god, he's amazing. And the Marine captain is another smoker type character who's actually a really cool dude. So the bad guy is like really smart, but like he's a good guy, and the actual villain is like there's a guy from headquarters there to like evaluate the base because they essentially haven't been filling their you need to be cops and get enough parking tickets every week or whatever thing, because the people on the base are too good of people and they're actually helpful and good Marines. So the base is in trouble, and while that's happening, they need to take down the Straw Hat crew, and it's really great. It's a really good arc.
Yeah.
It's only a couple episodes too. It's like 6 or 7.
It's episodes 196 through 206, so it's like 10 episodes.
Yeah. It's genuinely really good, and I would actually recommend it if any of you guys are really enjoying One Piece. It's better than fucking Skypiea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so after that, it's the Foxy arc. I fucking hate it.
So that's fair. I would call the Foxy arc the most hated arc in the entire series. Yeah. And part of that might be because in the anime, like people have pointed out, they add like 3 or 4 extra rounds to make it longer, and it's horrible. And Bo and I were talking about this. I'm kind of glad, because it's so rare that we differ in opinions on here. I kind of disagree with you, Aloha, on in terms of the momentum of a story like this.
Yeah.
I think it's nice to have a very short breather arc in between 2 longer ones. The Skypiea is kind of a lighter arc, but Water 7 is very heavy.
So so partially I do agree. I think a cooldown in this kind of sense is so ass. I feel like with this time, if you wanted a real cooldown, I feel like you could have done a lot of good characterization instead of having this stupid minigame.
You know what? You're right there. The thing Bo and I were talking about is clearly what Oda wanted to do is he'd seen like, you know that genre of movie where it's like a sports movie or like a movie where the protagonist is a dog and they have to fight like the mean rich Slytherin team.
There's no rule in Davy Back that says Luffy can't play boxing.
Yes. See, you say that, but like that really is kind of the problem, isn't it? Where with Davy Back, it's like, so in those movies, those Disney Channel original movie tier setups, it's like we're the Mighty Ducks and we've got the Angry Geese or whatever, and they're rich and probably racist or something, or like a cool running setup where it's like we're the underdogs and we can't step out of line because most people don't even want us here. Like there's stakes and there's a reason that you have to put up with like an unfairness in the system. The Davy Back fight is pirates openly cheating at Mario Party minigames, but for some reason, Oda seems to be under the impression the Straw Hats are above cheating and shouldn't be doing it.
It's stupid.
Which ruins the entire arc for me.
It's literally just like, I don't know, it feels so out of character, right? It's just like fucking filler in manga, when it's just like, they could have just done something like, I don't know, like, it could be silly, but it could just be like, you know, like, not this, where it's just like characters can talk to each other and have their interactions, right? Instead of like, you know, there were stakes, I guess, but it's just like, at the end of the day, I don't believe that Oda would remove a party member through something so silly and stupid.
No, yeah,
right?
He definitely wouldn't. And
right?
2 comments in chat I want to point out. Marabibo says, I think that's why G8 works over Foxy, because both aren't real fights. Yeah, G8 doesn't end with fights either, which is great. Yeah. But the former has character development and set up for Water 7. I have a lot of problems with the Foxy arc. I will say the theme of keeping your crew together is the core theme of Water 7 and Enies Lobby in a lot of different ways. So weirdly, I do think thematically it's a good ramp up, except again, this is a thing Bo and I talked a lot about. So first of all, Luffy would never ever agree to this. He would, knowing that you lose a crew member, he would never agree to it because he's Luffy, and that's like for him. Like later in the series, he's briefly separated from his crew and goes through like a Reen Schwarzer depressive spat where he almost gives up on everything, and it's been like a week, and so it's like Luffy wouldn't do this. And then I got unreasonably mad at Zoro when Chopper gets transitioned over, and Chopper's like crying, and Zoro's like, Chopper, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
This is nobody's fault except your own. You decided to go out to sea. And it's like,
Be a man.
Zoro, it's not his fault. Luffy agreed to this dumb thing off screen, and then you guys lost because they cheated, and you guys weren't cheating. So
Zoro
like,
even realizes later on, like as they're leaving, he has a moment of like, oh yeah, if I wasn't a part of this crew, I would have no reason to be a pirate. If they took me from this crew, I would fucking leave.
oh my god. Okay, the Painted Ring just said the smartest thing anyone said in chat for any of these. They could have had Usopp claim to be the pirate and agree. Can you imagine if this arc happened because Usopp was doing his bit where he's like, I'm the captain, and he signed up for the Davy back? Like, imagine that leading up into Water 7.
Like, that
how
would've
good
been
of a
better.
moment that would
That would
have
have just been better. Like, I don't like. It's like, I don't know. If you're gonna do cooldown, like, and all this other stuff, there's way better ways to do it with a lot more characterization like that. And it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, Painted
I
Ring
still would
also.
have liked the idea of they should have had more cheating, and they could have drawn some fun lines on like crewmates in characterizing them as to like who is down for cheating and who is not down for cheating.
Yeah, we made a chart.
We
We were
did.
so upset.
Oh, you made a chart?
Luffy and Zoro would not be down for cheating because they're like, we're men, we have honor, we need to do this. Chopper would agree with them because he is a child, and he's like, yeah, cheating's bad. Nami and Robin would have absolutely no problem cheating and would do it immediately. Usopp would claim he thinks cheating is wrong and anyone doing it is horrible and less of a man, and then do it immediately. And Sanji could be a good opposite to that, where he's like, yeah, cheating is fine, I'm with the women, and then gets incredibly angry the more the other team is cheating.
And like, if this were a game where it's like, ostensibly, you need to win the Mario Party game, but the real minigame is who's a better cheater, that's a better pirate game.
Yeah.
And like, so I will say,
Part of the fucking tuning exams.
Yeah.
Part of it.
Yeah.
I will say, I really like the first of the 3 Davy Back games. I like the race. There's really good wacky races where like Nami falls for nothing Foxy's doing. They're genuinely more competent, and they're cheating the whole time. And like, at one point, they start cheating, and then Sanji kicks the ass of the other team.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's like, great, yes, they would be doing that. And then they lose because Foxy has an unseen trump card, which is a great reveal for his power, and I think Foxy's power is cool, and I like it.
It's fun. It's fun, yeah.
And then in the second game, it is just a contest of strength, and it's stupid, and it sucks, and I hate that scene so much, because they're like, well, the ref won't we'll let the other team cheat, but we can't. It's like, kill him. Why do they get a ref? There shouldn't be a ref. Why is there any ref? Who gives a fuck?
The ref should
like,
be that the other pirate crew gets to boo you.
Hey,
and like,
hey, Robin, snap this man's neck so he looks in the right direction.
Or even like, yeah, she literally could have done that even non-lethally. Or even like, oh, well, your team gets a ref, our team gets a ref too, and then Robin just starts making shit up and giving red cards to the other team.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much fun to be had, and the fact that also I propose this: Zoro and Sanji's thing should have happened first, and they should have lost because of their team, like their failure to work together, and that should have been presented as a problem.
Yeah.
Because I'm speaking with retroactive eyes here. Up to this point, I think their rivalry is funny, and I actually think this is about the funniest it ever is, where they just start kicking at each other. I will tell you guys, it never grows from this point and plateaus and is annoying, and I hate it. And I think it should have come to a head here and been like, hey, you guys need to find some other dynamic or move forward in some way, because you just lost a crew member. And also, then it would have been Zoro's fault that Chopper got taken, and Zoro can shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Oh my god. This is when they did the Zero Sword style thing too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was so stupid. Anyway, Sorry guys, there's never a good Zoro fight for the rest of the series. I hope you enjoyed it.
Damn. But yeah, I like Davy's powers. I think he's it's just really interesting, especially the scene where he's like standing on the cannonballs, and Luffy tries to jump on, and he's like, oh, and then that cannonball goes, and then Luffy tries to step on another one, and that one goes. It's just like, it's a very tricky power, very silly little guy. But
Disagree, but go off. Not to dunk on you specifically, Freshie, but this is a private book club, so we get to address each other by name. I have disagreed with almost every take you've thrown out so far, so...
I'm seeing from Luke Gibson that if Zoro and Sanji were first, Chopper would have been the ball. That would have been interesting on the basis of the other team's ball was a half giant, and Chopper is 2 inches tall.
And he can change size, and Chopper has lots of, like, movement abilities, and I like the idea. Davy Back fight, the Davy Back fight is an opportunity for Straw Hat characters who don't get to do shit during big fights, like all the women, because Oda's a big sexist, is like, and they get to cheat, and it's a cheating battle. So that, like, imagine if it had been like Zoro and Sanji can beat this, they're men's men, and like they're fighting while Chopper's doing his best and he's left on his own, and he's like, guys, please help, and they take Chopper because they lose, and they both feel bad about it, and then it's up to Usopp, Nami, and Robin to win him back. Like, man, what a good idea that would have been.
And Chopper would have got to fucking do something.
And also, I'll point out, this was a while back. Someone's like, well, they did cheat. They steal the ref's red card and whistle at the end. It's like, no, that's not what I mean. That's the worst thing they could have done. That's toothless, because that's Oda going, they're not allowed to cheat, and having the entire class, including Zoro, yell at Nami for the concept of taking Foxy and ending the Davy Back fight then and there. Like, that's the kind of cheating I'm talking. Like, there's no reason to adhere to this structure. Not even honor, because it's literally a cheating game and the other side's cheating. It's not like a we're better than you thing. It's just stupid. And the fact that they can't even stick to that, and at the end it's like, well, we stopped them by also cheating, just means they should have been cheating the whole time. And they just chose not to make it fun for no reason.
Yippee.
Yeah, but we needed to take Zoro's swords so he could do the stupid zero sword technique thing.
Oh my god.
And then, like, this thing we've never seen him do, and something that we would probably never practice, because why would he? Like.
Also, what a waste to have a challenge of no weapons allowed when only one of your characters used weapons in the first place. Like, it's not a disadvantage.
But then, and also, like, it seems like you can just use weapons without having weapons, which, like, from here on out, every Zoro fight just ends with him going, here's my super slash, and he just, like a big ghost or a demon or an aura will come out of him, and it's like, what is this? This isn't set up. This means nothing. It's like watching a part 5 JoJo fight where Jono's just like, I made up a new ability on the spot. And it's like, this isn't satisfying, gamers. Ugh. Someone says, yo, but Afro Luffy though, I don't know what Oda's going for there. I wasn't on board with the joke until at some point near the end, Nami's like, this is fucking stupid. And Sanji leans in and is like,
yeah, I like
listen, Nami. I didn't remember anything about Sanji being like a dope like he's been. It's so distant. I miss him being silly. I don't remember this.
He used to be the silly one before that became the trio of Luffy, Usopp, and Chopper.
What would have been a better dynamic for Sanji and Zoro? The problem is that it's a static dynamic. And this happens like with all the Straw Hats, because none of them get any focus after Water 7 ever again. Yeah. And it's just like, once Oda has figured out their dynamics, they are that forever. And it never changes. And that's a problem when your manga is 1,200 chapters long.
Yeah. I think
Sorry, Act 1 just brought up the funniest joke in the whole thing, which, yeah, we can't forget. Brought up this line before stream, but wanted to bring up the Usopp banger. Zoro, you think you're going to heaven? Usopp has a lot of amazing lines.
I love that guy.
All right.
That just
Yeah.
reminded me of the fucking. I remember I used to think and see around the whole line that Zoro has way back in Skypiea of like, I don't believe in a god. Because that is like a really cool thing, and then it hit me much later. Hey, all of Zoro's attacks are like Buddhist themed,
Yeah.
like
and,
Buddhist and Shinto themed. It's like,
Yeah,
hey,
and not to
bud.
go back even further on that, but because I know Aloha's clearly trying to wrap this up, and we won't let him. But and another thing of Skypiea having no theme, like you can see that bit at the end. Oh, can I bring this up without ruining anything? You see that bit at the end where all of the characters in Skypiea are like praying to a god, and it's very much like, is there really a god? And they just had this god debunking thing in the flashback with Nolan, and it's like, you feel the bones of Oda working towards something, but I don't think they built up to any kind of skeleton of an animal. Like, I just feel like it's elements, you know? And it's also the position of God being called God is very stupid. Like, there's so much in Skypiea that's just like...
It calls him, like, it's just the title of governor for us.
Yeah,
and
like,
it's dumb.
It's very lip servicey, where there's a lot of references. Like, it's Skypiea looks like heaven, so here's Heaven's Gate. Here's a couple allusions to like Christian God, and here's some Shintoism and some Buddhism, and all of the priests they're based off of 4, like, I think it's Buddhist principles he mentions in an SBS corner, and it's just like, why is any of that? Like, do you have anything to say? Is this a theme? And like, not really. And I just think that's lazy and dumb.
Because I think that's everything, unless we want to talk about the fucking Ace and Waffles cover stories.
No.
Not really.
Nah, there's not really much there.
I haven't done my Ace panel count because it's not technically up to date because I am gonna include the cover story, but I was just like, I'm gonna go through and grab these cover stories later, so it's probably like 18 higher than it is. But oh no, I do have one thing. I do have one important thing, which I've mentioned in passing, but now matters, and I do have images for it.
Fuck, we did not talk about Akio, fucking the
Aokiji?
yeah, at all.
He shows up.
Like, I don't know. I kind of hate him because it's this thing of due to who I am and my personal beliefs. I like Smoker, I understand. It's like he's the good Marine. But that's because Smoker is too weak to do anything on his own without the backing of a government. By the time if this guy is like the good Marine but super strong, then in my belief, I believe he shouldn't be a part of the Marines at all, or else he's not a true good guy. Right?
Like, he quits later, but like in a way that I think he could have done more. He was high up enough that yes, he could have made a forceful change.
He's so strong that it's just like he doesn't need the backing of the government in order to do anything good.
Peter's book club.
Peter's book club, like.
Oh yeah. Also, I really don't like, given his history with Robin, that we will learn that he sees her and goes, "Oh, you've grown into a pretty little lady." Like, could you say something more disgusting?
Like, and we talked about, we had a section where we're like, what do we like about Skypiea? And we did name a lot of stuff, right? This is the panel that made me think about that, by the way, Bo just put this panel where it's just like, oh yeah, Nami's face when she sees a Marine, that a Marine can actually do something good, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, it's like, yeah, he can do good things, but it's just like this thing of like, he's still a Marine though. By being such a powerful entity in a like a cog in like a giant thing with this much power that people know about, he's just perpetuating the fear that allows them to control the masses.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, yeah.
a couple things. So here, unrelated, but I do have this wonderful panel in case we want to keep it for the future.
Oh fucking fucking.
But I have images for all these. I'll have to grab them individually. Chat, I want your job here is, if you disagree with any of these, I want to talk about it, because this list This list is going to be so long by the end, and I think this is going to be the only time where there's a lot of new additions and I'll be able to pitch them, and I think it's reasonable you might be able to fight me on them, and it won't take it too much time. So, I mentioned before, I have the fucking cut this character Oda list that I would hand him, and we've got Pearl on there, and we've got the fusion of Wapple's two guys, and I don't need a lot for this. This doesn't mean I like a character, but it means they perform some service to the story. So, a really good example of a guy who like just does this totally mechanically. I'll just tell you most of the Shandians are on there right now, but you know who isn't? And even Wiper's not on there because I understand why he's there, even though you could rewrite the story to avoid him. But Wiper's got these lieutenants, you know, and one of them is the guy who is the first one where we see Enel's power. And like this guy I'm sure he has a name, I don't give a shit. And he just shows up and he blows up. But his purpose in the story mechanically is to introduce Enel in that way. Like you can see him. So he has a purpose. That's literally the bar for being on here. But if a character could easily be written out or combined with another character to do something, then they don't deserve to be there. So here are my nominations. You've got them. You can see them, and I've got images for you. Sorry, it's very hard to swap between Discord tabs and grab these. So
I just put the list up with like the names and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. But I literally don't imagine everyone's gonna remember these guys. So you got this lady. You got the woman who follows Isa around. Why is she?
Rocky.
Oh, you know her name?
I do. I only remember it because it's similar to hockey.
Oh, okay. And then speaking of, you've got Isa. I remembered her doing more and directing Luffy more and like her powers mattering. But no, they don't really. So what was her is she just there to be the voice of reason who's like, I'm scared of Wiper, in which case respect, I guess. Me too, girl. Then you've got...
Also, hey Jello, I see you've forgotten the 4 most important characters who showed up for a single fucking scene in Alabasta.
Are they not on there? They should be,
No,
actually. I'll put them on there retrospectively. I know who you're talking about. So you've got Fat Shandian Lieutenant. You've got the one that Zoro fights. He didn't need to. I don't know why that happened. That was an inconclusive fight. He didn't learn anything from it. Didn't matter. I feel like someone might argue against this one. You've got Swamp Guy, which I could have let him stay here if Chopper's little arc wasn't immediately underdone by him exploding, which kind of ruined it. I know this guy has a cover story, but he hasn't come back and nothing in his cover story matters, and it's also the worst one of the whole
remember
series.
you getting to his cover story and your reaction was, ugh.
Who can forget? Perhaps the poster children of Cut This Character. I forgot these dudes existed.
I remember they existed, but I lumped them together with their older brother and thought they were just twins in the ball challenge. There we're not.
And I'm gonna put Yama on here. What's his point? What does he do for the story? Because if the answer is give Robin a fight, he didn't. It sucked. And if the answer is let us know that Robin cares about archaeology, we already knew that. And she does that the whole arc. So why is he here? So, okay. Anyone disagree?
I mean, I don't disagree with any of that.
No.
Oh, no, you know what? Sword Priest should be on here as well. Simple change for Sword Change Priest, just have him blitz, just don't have him blitz Chopper. I will say, I don't care which of the 2 priests it is, 2 of them get cut, no matter what. I think the one who fights Sanji and Luffy is fine, like, he sucks, and I don't like his fight, but I understand it as, like, welcome to this island, here is how we fight people, and he introduces dial combat. So, like, anyone could do that, but he gets to stay because he did that. Lance Knight Priest gets to stay because I like his fight with Chopper. I think it's fine. And I also love that he gets dunked off screen because it doesn't fucking matter. The reason Sword Guy should also be on here is, like, he just shouldn't exist. Like, they didn't need an extra obstacle at the Beanstalk base before Enel, because Enel is the obstacle at the Beanstalk base.
Yeah.
You can put. I'm not gonna steal Bo's thunder. God, that's
The
funny.
rocket power character. You just called someone a Shubi.
And actually, I have. So, Bo, you mentioned those 4 guys in Alabasta. Chad, I don't remember if you. I don't know if you remember them, but they're not Pell and they're not Chaka. They're dudes who are like, it's the other 4 strong guys, and they show up when Crocodile is there.
We took something to.
No, you know why I'm bringing this up. You'll know what I'm trying to transition to. It's another one of Bo's fun things that he's keeping track of. They go, we've taken the special poison that makes us super strong, and then we die. And Croc just murders them, and they didn't need to exist.
He doesn't even murder them. He literally just jumps onto a rooftop, and he's like, okay, I'll just wait until you die, and then they die immediately.
Which is hilarious. I respect the hell out of it, to be honest.
But yeah, we've had enough moments here where Luffy has randomly been threatened with being poisoned that has meant nothing, that I am now keeping track of the times that poison has been referenced and it has meant fucking nothing. And we're up to 3 times, at least. I will probably add that moment too, because it sucked.
Yeah, I mean, they died, but like, do you believe they died? Do you believe those guys are dead? I don't. Yeah, no. Also, I posed this question to Bo. Aloha, do you think Oda knows that poison and acid are different things?
I think Oda knows what poison does. I just don't think Oda has a spine in his body to actually kill a character.
So the reason I ask is because whenever he shows a poison, like the snake biting a tree,
it's like bubbling
and a crocodile like burns away a rock when it hits the thing because of the poison, he draws it like it's acid. It's not acid.
But yeah.
Yeah.
If you guys
anyway
directed to my screen share, I have the Straw Hat tier list up.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wanna put Robin in S. I just like Robin.
Absolutely.
I might put Usopp up there, honestly, too.
Yeah, Usopp and Robin are great. There's never a time where I see Usopp and Robin and I don't like probably smile for like most of the scene. You know, like I feel like Luffy. God, Luffy is like an A or a B. I'm gonna be real. Like
I'd put him in B. He didn't really do that much.
He didn't really do that much.
He was stuck in a snake.
I put Chopper.
He barely knows who Enel is.
I put Chopper at B. He had some...
That's fair. Chopper was wet. You know what? Here, I will praise Skypiea for this. Chopper has a lot of really cute, small, good moments in the background during Skypiea.
Yeah.
Like, even when he's not focal, he's got a lot of good lines. Oda did way better with Chopper than he did in Alabasta.
Yeah. I feel like...
Just got all of that for long.
Yeah. Blue Glasses says, Jaya makes Luffy an A tier for me. I'd agree if Jaya was longer, but Jaya's like a fifth the length of Skypiea.
I'd put Nami at A just because of the interactions with her and Enel at the end of Skypiea, where she just like joins his team and stuff. The whole thing where it's just like, he doesn't know I'm here. That's why I'm gonna have to kill one of you. And she's just like, oh no.
My favorite one is in the start where they're like, they run into the Sky Cops who are like, you didn't pay our stupid fine. Why was that? What? By the way, what a lazy way to get the Straw Hats on a hit list. Like, they could have just had Blue Sea people be illegal. It would have been fine.
Yeah.
But she's like, oh yes, I understand. We just had to pay 700 million berries. And then it cuts to her crashing a wave runner into the dude's face because she's so mad about it. I like anytime, like, when Nami's allowed to be funny, Nami's one of the best characters in One Piece, actually. She's really good. I hope I keep thinking that when she gets devolved into a blow-up doll later on. Wait, did we really talk about Water 7? We didn't read Water 7 yet.
Read Water 7, yeah.
Wait,
I agree.
If you look at the chapter numbers, all you should have read was the Foxy arc at the start of the Water 7 saga, right? So that's gonna be the next section, which I'll tell you guys the chapter assignments for that. I put Zoro at C because C for Chopper.
I agree. He has. If he didn't have his yodel moment, the Tarzan yodel, I'd put him in D. I don't think he had a single good fucking. No, he had one other good moment in the fight. Yeah, where he's just like, your flash attacks won't work on me anymore. Now that I've got these goggles, they don't look like sunglasses.
Oh yeah,
he figured it out. That was really funny.
God, Sanji's so hard to place. I honestly like.
I put him in B. Honestly, I thought he was pretty good this time around.
I'd put him above Luffy. Like.
Okay.
He got a real cool moment.
Yeah, that cool moment is literally why he's there. Like this screenshot right here. I'm just like, I love that so much.
Baku, Sanji was good in this arc because he was barely in. Someone in chat, for being sexist, Oda does make some good lady character. It's like how, have you ever read something? Have you ever read someone that's like so sexist they end up writing great gay rap? It's like that. God, yeah, is that all the Straw Hats?
I mean, yeah, that's all the Straw Hats.
Wow.
There's no one more. I put the old lady in SSS tier. You know.
Would our ranking change if it was the Foxy arc? The answer is yes. Chopper would be at the bottom.
Oh God.
I mean, I would put Zoro at the bottom, to be honest. I'm so mad at him for yelling about. I'm so upset at Zoro for being mean to Chopper.
Like it's the thing of like, it's like, oh man, Chopper doesn't need to be in the story. He's never used and all this other stuff. But Zoro yells at Chopper, and I'm like, don't do that. He's just a little guy.
It's not Chopper's fucking fault. Like, Jesus Christ. That's, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I want to put it out there. Also, I like the Foxy fight, and I like how Luffy wins. Though, can we just throw it out there that I think it's dumb that the Foxy fight even went on as long as it did. I think it should have just been like 1 or 2 chapters of like, look how fun Luffy, like my powers are, and then Luffy could just hit him one time and kill him. Like, we didn't really need to. Oda really tried to make it feel like Luffy had a chance of losing, which, like, no, he didn't.
Yeah. Like, shit's crazy. But yeah.
That's everything.
So, as you can tell, we love Skypiea. And you know we're about to love even more. Water 7.
Next time around, we're just reading Foxy again. Enjoy.
Enjoy.
Someone in chat thought we had to read Water 7 and read all of it for today.
I mean, it sucks you can't count the numbers that I put in front of your face and look at the chapter numbers. I'm sorry, but at least you're ahead of the game. So, yeah. Oh, date-wise, by the way, Jello is going to be out of town, so we're not going to be doing it on Saturday like we normally do. Does the 31st sound good for you guys, which is a Monday?
Let me make super 100% sure what my because I don't actually know when my trip is because I've been inflating the time out, so I've got like an extra day on both sides whenever people ask. So I'm making sure because this is a thing I could do right after coming back.
So hold up, chat, while we see Jello's availability that we should have done beforehand. But Jello's sick and I forgot. So.
Okay.
I thought he was asking us, like, chat, as much as I would love to, like, see all 40 of you concurrent viewers here next time as well on a date that we can all work out, we have enough trouble getting all 3 of us here at the same day.
Yeah. I've had bad luck literally every single time.
I'm so glad you were able to make it, because if you weren't here, it would be sick Jello and me. And honestly, Jello, you did really good despite being sick. You're gonna die after this. Stream's gonna turn off and you're gonna like fade away.
No, I'm definitely gonna feel regret for talking as much as I did within the next 30 minutes. Sorry, I'm still. You can never just be like, "What's my flight?" They're always like, "Give me the record locator and whatever," and it's like, "Can you just okay?" I'm leaving on the 24th and coming back on the 28th. So no, I can actually do the 29th.
Do you want to?
Yeah, I can do it.
Alright, okay, scratch that. We're doing it next Saturday on the 29th.
Sorry for wasting everyone's time.
Sorry for wasting everyone's time. Let me find the okay. So it's 29th, same time, same place. And the chapters are going to be chapters 322 through 441. Okay? That's all of Water 7, all of Ennis Lobby, all of post Ennis Lobby. And then we should be good. Okay? So let me just double check. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I'm really curious to see how we're gonna be feeling after the How do I say this? I'm really curious how we're gonna be feeling after this one, and if we want to like split the end of Act 1 of One Piece into like 2 separate smaller sittings, or fucking go for broke and do like the rest.
So, Thriller Bark is like a 40 chapter saga, right? So I think what we're probably going to do is the same kind of thing that we did for like Sky Island and Water 7, where it's just like we read Thriller Bark and then like the first arc of like the Summit War saga.
Yeah, because
right?
like I could see us doing like Thriller Bark and then like Sebaodi, or however you say that.
Yeah.
And but even that's like 75, 80 chapters, and that's like pretty small. We could even do like we'll do one on both weeks.
Sao Body and Amazon Lily as well. I don't know. We'll figure that out after this one. This is like the first this is like a clean. Yeah,
this one's easy.
Yeah. So I hope everyone enjoyed your stuff. Thank you, Bo and Jello, to coming out, even though you're sick and also busy people. But yeah, see you guys next week. Say bye.
Bye.